as I was saying, that interval of an A up through a G is the seventh. Where were we? We were here talking about this. Or yeah, fifth above an A is an E. What would a couple more of these? A third below a B. If you just start with B and go 1, 2, 3, you get a G, right? If you go a sixth below a C, you'd start with C and count it as 1 and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You get to an E. Another way of knowing that would be to hear it, right? And that is C down to E, right? Distinctive minor sixth interval. Turn that up a little bit, right? And you get it in minor songs, or you get it sometimes in major songs. All right, it goes both up and down in The Entertainer by Scott Joplin, right? I think I'll leave you to your devices there and to the reading, which is somewhat basic, but I encourage you to seek out information through me if you want. You email me, and we can establish maybe a chat room for this kind of thing. The piano keyboard is next in this text, and they talk about naming the white keys. Pretty important to be able to do that, to see the way the whole Western world for the past 2,500 years has thought of the pitch world with white pitches, you know, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Don't ask me. Although I would surmise that there was an instrument somewhere on the shores of a body of water in and around Mesopotamia or Greece, and someone fashioned a flute, and it had 7 different pitches. Maybe that wasn't the first flute ever fashioned, right? And they thought alpha, beta, gamma, delta, whatever the Greek letters were for those things, and it's thought that makes a pretty cool set of pitches that you could play tunes with. It's what we're stuck with, and then, you know, the pitch world expanded after a few hundred years or 1,000 years or so of just using the 7 letter name pitches to these ones that get named, you know, with sharp or flat in addition to an A, B, C, D, E, F, or G. And then we start to notate them on a staff. Historically, we didn't always have a 5-line staff, but we usually had up on the page means up in pitch, and downward on the page on the staff means going downward in pitch, lower. 5-line staff, it's kind of weird. It's not like writing words so much so where you only write on a line. You have both line notes and you have space notes. So you just got to get used to that. Notation is a strange animal. It can never reflect very clearly what the music is. It's a great mnemonic, and people use it to read down, pieces and get an idea of what's in pieces. But there's so much more about the music than notation will never convey. So a lot of people learn to play music nowadays. You know, looking at YouTube videos, it's fascinating to me. And playing by ear is really a better, more musical way than playing by eye. And people who learn to sight read, learn to sort of make music another way, sort of like they know another language. I better talk less descriptively here. So there's 2 kinds of clefs that we're probably going to deal with, and that is treble and bass clef. Treble meaning higher, bass meaning lower, as you can surmise. Treble is also known as a G clef. That distinctive shape is a script G, whose tail wraps around that second line of the treble clef staff, which is a G, and you can see these enumerated here. They're not numbers though. And there's, you know, the letters of the staff. They do go in alphabetical order. Line, space. In other words, E, F, G, A, that kind of thing. A lot of people know them as face is the word that is spelled out by the spaces of the treble clef staff. First space is F, second space is A. And that would get you something like F, A, C, E. Probably higher than that. Right? And then the other ones, E, G, B, D, F, right, gets you the lines of the treble clef. They're all skips, right? You're skipping over a letter name to get that. You don't play music completely in skips all the time, so it's going to be case, so you'll have to read line space, line space, line space to read a fluid line of steps like you have here, right? And I like remembering the lines of the treble clef with something that means up higher. Every good bird does fly. A lot of people know every good boy does fine, or deserves fudge. There's other ones. Use whatever one works for you is what I say. Because on a quiz or something like that, I have to say, quick, what's the third space on the treble clef? You're going to go space 1, 2, 3, and go C. I hope you will anyway. And it really will help your music making. The notation's not what the music is anyway. You want it to be kind of intuitional. Try it number 2 asks you to go ahead and put in here what you get for the the names of these letter names. So, it's just repeating what you have here, but it is rehearsing it a little bit like a musical activity all at once. So, this doesn't make any kind of melody in and of itself, but you can check your answers with that. There's middle C, for instance. Notice that we keep going in alphabetical order as if we had more lines of the staff. These are called extensions of the staff, ledger lines. And you can have as many ledger lines as you need below or above a staff. Write the letter names in the blank, then circle the highest and lowest pitches. You got John Lennon's Imagine here. You what tune is that? Part of the tune is that. You may say how much I think they even give you the well, not for this one, but they give you the sound bite where the copyright is not an issue. Or maybe this has the sound in it. I'll have to check that out. Naming some of these here are what they're after, I believe. So is that, what note is that? So that would be the note on top of the staff. We call that the first space. That'd be a G. Anyway, these are just a few of the bars there. Moving along to the bass clef. Might not be obvious to everybody, but this symbol is a script F, and the dots that are sort of what the crosshatches of the F were are separated by that second line down on the staff, which is your F. It's that F, right? So same thing. You got alphabetical order, along line space, and they don't spell out a word in this case, but I like something that reflects downward. So girls buy diamonds from Africa because diamonds are mined from under the earth. And all cows eat grass because grass grows underneath your feet usually. So, they do the all cows eat grass. I'll tell you that there. Great big doves fly away. See, that doesn't tell you downward if you ask me. And then some practice in identifying these pitches. There's your namesake for the F clef note, the F there. Bottom line, that's the great, or the girls G right there. There's a D, girls buy diamonds, right? Make sure to try to practice this. And by the way, if you ever need more practice at this, a great thing that you can do is to just go to the musictheory.net site and avail yourself of not only this web interface, but you can get the app for a low price and walk around with the ability to use this, or not walk around with it, but if you go to something like exercises and you want to do some staff, note identification, this might be really good practice. So you can set it to test you on a number of different things. I can make the settings be only, for instance, treble clef, or I can have it be both treble and bass clef. I can use some of the other clefs that we're probably not going to talk about very much here. Why don't we do both treble and bass clef? You can couple them together. That's called the grand staff. Leave that alone for just a minute. I can change the range. You can use it key signatures. And we could just use letters. Okay, let's use letters. Accidentals, allow all. If you're just doing basic letter names, you could change this. So just basic, I would guess. Let's see if that gives us just letter names. So bass clef, girls buy diamonds from Africa, and then it goes alphabetical order. If that's Africa, that's B, C, D, E. I select E. It tells me it's right. It even gives me a pitch thing. All right, I guess wrong here. I know that's an A, but I'll say G, and then it lets me know I wasn't right. If I say A, it will let me know that it's right. And here's treble clef above that. That's going to be a B with a flat next to it, so B flat. I didn't mean to introduce the flats yet. Anyway, you get the idea for that. So we're building up to example 1.1. Let's see if I can get all the way to that before my 15 minutes of video quits here on Screencast-O-Matic. I'm at 11 minutes. I better hurry up. Then we talk about octave numbers. A lot of musicians don't use this. It's a newer system where middle C on the piano, an 88 key piano, is C4, and then everything between that and the next C is thought of as octave 4. It's a C-based system in this case. Ironically, our alphabet is A as a beginning. We think of C major as sort of a default point in recognizing pitches and organizing pitches, but that's why, for instance, this B right below the C is not B4, but it's B3 because it's in what we call the C octave right here. I like to just talk about it as being in terms of middle C. Like, locate on the piano for me the second E above middle C. So if you know that that's middle C right there, right, then you would know that the C above it is this, the one C above it, and the E above that is the second E above middle C. In other words, that's the first E above middle C, that's the second. We'll go with octave numbers as they ask here. It's probably a cleaner system unless you're pretty familiar with the keyboard. And when you get to music, if you take any of our courses in theory, such as survey, you have a keyboard lab and do some work with that there. All right, there's a little note about ledger lines. And, identifying where in the keyboard these things are when they're on the staff. We could be using the fretboard as well. I'm a guitar player as well as a pianist, so I like them both. The keyboard has the advantage of being visually very accurate in a linear fashion. Low to high, we can see what makes up the pitch roll. On the guitar, it's true too. We have the overlapping of string pitches, however, when you play higher up the fretboard. More on that later. So what are these notes when you're using ledger lines? You have to use alphabetical order and extend. It's almost like you're extending the staff, right? You can see these ranges of pitches here. This C5 would be right there, that third space C like that. I don't know if you can see that. It's so small on this screen, but that's what you're getting at there. And the various octaves, right? Low octave C2, C3. The C1 octave is the very lowest part of an 88 key keyboard. I don't think we even get to the very lowest part of it. So using octave numbers to identify these things, and that gets us ready for, I think actually, in the end, that gets us ready for worksheet 1.2. So we kind of missed worksheet 1.1. Let's take a look for just a minute and see what to do there. This is a lot like the first try it. This is identifying notes on the keyboard. Knowing that C is always to the left of the pair, it moves in alphabetical order. You would write the letter name for each of those like that. Let's see if I can do a little of that in the time I have left, which is 20 seconds. My ink to go is not showing. Oh, it's over here. I go like this, and I haven't used this yet. But I got my blue pen, and I want C, then I would write D here. But it's not. There we go. So I write D here, and then I would go to write